Hey guys, welcome to episode 9 of the Blue Mouse podcast. My name's Emily. I'm the full-time knitwear designer behind the Blue Mouse Knits. So you can find me on Instagram as @thebluemouse with an underscore at the end, or the Blue Mouse on Ravelry. I'll link both those in the description if you're interested. Welcome to my weekly podcast. This is a podcast all about knitting with a little bit of a focus on knitwear design. So it has been a couple of weeks. I did film last week, but it got to be about Monday night and I still hadn't had time to sit down and edit the video. And I thought, you know what? It was a terribly short episode anyway. It was only going to be like 10 to 15 minutes long. So I thought, I'm only a few days away from filming another episode. I'm just going to wait. And I'm glad I did, because this episode will be fuller and a little bit longer, which is great. So let's just start off with my FOs. I have 3 to share this week, which is awesome. So the first FO is actually a pair of socks, but I need to get them on the sock blockers first. So this is a pattern that I think I have showed you a few times, but it is just a heavily modified version of someone's pattern. And so I modified the cast on amount because it's written for a different weight of yarn. So I modified the cast on amount and did that math. And then I changed the cuff, I changed the heel, and I changed the toe. So essentially it's a completely different pattern. So I was working on yet another pair of these following my modified version. And I was sitting there like, why am I not writing this up as a pattern? I mean, it's completely different than the version I was following. So that's what I did. The other day, I should have been working on other things, but instead I sat down and did the math and wrote up a brand new pattern and sent it off to my tech editor. It's off to my test knitters last night, this morning, kind of a mix of both. So it should be out to you next week. All right, so here's my finished pair of socks. And I'm pretty sure I showed you one last week, right? But this is going to be called my Glimmer Socks. It has a wedge toe, a modified heel here, but it will be just a 2x2 rib pattern throughout with a heel flap and gusset and an easy wedge toe. This is just going to be a very easy and simple pattern. And the bonus about it is that there's going to be a complete video tutorial to go with all of these. So when the pattern comes out and you buy it, you'll be able to get the German twisted cast on tutorial, how to join in the round with magic loop, how to do a heel flap, heel turn, and working the gusset, and then how to work the wedge toe that I have written, and how to do the Kitchener stitch to close it. So if you've never done socks before, this is going to be perfect for you, because the pattern is just very simple. It's just basic ribbing, and I think a heel flap and gusset is a very easy beginner step, especially if someone is showing you how to do it. So if you've never knit socks before, or if you don't really understand how to knit socks, this is going to be perfect for you. So I'm going to have this pattern out, and I'm also going to have another slightly more advanced pattern coming out in a couple days after that. And by advanced, I don't mean it will be much harder. It's still going to be the basic components that this sock has, but the difference is that the pattern on the front will not be ribbed. It will be a little bit of a cable. So if you know how to do cables, but you've never done socks, then maybe that's the pattern for you, you know? So that way it'll just give you options. If you want something very basic, very easy, something that is likely to fit a lot of people, this one is going to be the one you're going to want to go with. But if you want something a little bit more adventurous, then the other pattern will be what you're looking for. So this will be out next Saturday, which I believe is the 17th of November. How are we already coming up on the 17th of November? How did that happen? Yeah, so that'll be coming out the 17th of November with full video tutorials, and you only get the video tutorials for the whole thing by buying the pattern. A couple of them will be available for free on my YouTube channel, like the German twisted cast on and the Kitchener stitch, but everything else, the heel, the toe, and everything, is going to be included in my paid for pattern. So I think that's everything about this pattern. I have told you about the yarn and everything before, so if you want to know about that, you can go to my show notes and look them up. But yeah, I think that's everything for these. These are actually a gift, a very, very late gift. So I need to get these shipped off with a couple small gifts to a friend of mine. Oh, one more important thing about this sock pattern release is that we're gonna do a sock knitting cowl. I talked about this a little bit in the last episode, and I talked about it a little bit on Instagram, and you guys were really excited for it. So we're gonna do it. Starting on Saturday, I almost said September, but November 17th, we're going to kick off a sock knitting cowl, and it will run through probably about the end of December, but it's just a very loose, no rules kind of cowl because there's no prizes. It's just to get us excited about knitting socks and to get us knitting all the socks and encouraging each other so that we can get those Christmas gifts finished early. That is the whole reasoning behind this. I've got just piles of, I moved them actually, so I've got piles here of sock yarn that I need to knit up for Christmas gifts, and I haven't started. So I need some motivation, maybe you need some motivation, but we can all just kind of knit together, share whip photos and FO photos, and just chat along and encourage each other to get those Christmas gifts finished. So I'm really excited about that. I have gotten my sock knitting mojo back, so that's really fun. It had been gone since, oh gosh, months and months, since sometime in the summer when I learned how to knit socks. So it is back though, because I have realized that sock knitting is amazing for social situations. So I will talk a little bit more about this in the personal catch-up time at the end of the episode, but I had a lot of family in town for my bridal shower this past weekend, so I didn't have the time or the mental energy to focus on working on writing a pattern. So I just cast on a new pair of socks. So I cast on the first sock on Saturday night, and I worked on it Saturday night while hanging out with family, and then on Sunday we went and saw a movie, and I all but finished it in the movie. I just came home and did the Kitchener stitch, but it was that quick. I mean, it was just a little bit on Saturday night and a little bit on Sunday afternoon, and it was done, which was so awesome. It was so fast. And then on Monday night for my small women's group for Bible study, I cast on another sock before it started. And then all through that night, I got about halfway done with a second sock. So it's really become fast, and I think that has gotten my sock knitting mojo back. So you'll be seeing lots more socks in the future going up until Christmas, because gotta get all those gifts done. You guys, we're what are we, 6 weeks away? 6 weeks away, I think, from Christmas. Maybe 7, but that is not much time at all. I am so behind. That got me really stressed out. All right, let's move on to another FO so I don't have to think about that. So like I mentioned, I had a lot of family in town this weekend, and it was a blast. It was so fun to have them in, and I felt so loved that they flew in or drove in for my shower. But by the end of the weekend, I was mentally spent. It was a lot of social interacting, and for me and my personality type, I get very drained by social interaction. I enjoy it, but if I get too much of it in a short period of time, I feel exhausted. So Sunday night rolled around, and pretty much everybody but one of my aunts had left. I couldn't sleep, but I was exhausted. So I pulled back out my no-frills sweater, and I steamed it because I was worried that I had made the first sleeve, way too long. So I steamed it so that I could see how much it would stretch out, And then I tried it on, and it was actually perfect. So I had finished the first sleeve, and I was just about, probably here on the second sleeve. And I just went ahead and finished the second sleeve that night. So you can tell I played yarn chicken and I lost. I'm pretty sure I have a very tiny ball of this somewhere, but I have no idea where that is. So, oh well. It's just not going to match the other sleeve, and that's okay because it just kind of makes it more unique and more, I don't know, more me. It looks more handmade and I like that. So these are the sleeves and the full sweater. So the modifications that I used, the no frill sweater is meant to be knit at a larger gauge because you're supposed to hold a strand of fingering weight with mohair, and I didn't do that. So I went down 2 needle sizes. I think the pattern calls for a US 5, and I used a US 3 to make this. And if you ever want to see this information, it'll be in the show notes, and also you can just go look at my Ravelry projects because I put all the information there. So I modified that so that I only used 1 strand of fingering weight yarn at a time, and then I didn't have 3 skeins of one color. I won this yarn in a giveaway from the Do You Knit podcast, and it was a kit to make the Maritimo top by Caitlin Hunter, but I had already purchased yarn for that, so I just went ahead and made the no frills. So it's not supposed to be faded. The pattern is not written that way, but I just took a fading sequence and faded the bottom of it. So this first color is called Cereal. It's this really, really gorgeous cream with speckles of color. And then I faded it into, oh, what is this called? I don't remember what this is called. I know a few of you have suggested what you think it's called, but if you go look at Caitlin Hunter's Maritimo top, I think her suggested yarn that she used are these 2 colors. So you can figure out which is which. And I'll try and do that and link that in the show notes as well. But yeah, I love it. I tried it on and it fits like a sweatshirt, which I love. It is so cozy. I can't get enough of this. Actually, I think I'll wear it tonight. I haven't worn it out yet, and it's like cold out and kind of cozy, and I think I'll wear it out. Yeah, I like that. Oh, I have another FO I forgot about, which I'll share next. I'm pretty sure I talked about this. I'm having trouble remembering if I talked about this in my lost episode of the podcast or if it was one that has been released. But I finished my Zweig by Caitlin Hunter. So this is it in its full glory. So I made it using Madeline Tosh. I don't really remember the base, but it is Composition Book Gray for the purple, for the purpley gray, I guess. And then I believe it's Gentle Monster for the cream, but you can find that on my Ravelry projects page. I finished the body a couple weeks ago, and then I just picked up the sleeves last week and just worked and worked and worked pretty much only on the sleeves for this because I wanted to wear it to my bridal shower, and I finished it the day before, so I was able to wear it, which was awesome. I got tons of compliments on it. And yeah, so some modifications. I modified the bottom to have a split hem because I've been kind of digging that style lately, and I like it. It doesn't hug my body as much, which is kind of nice. It just kind of, it has a better drape that way, I guess I should say. And then the sleeves, the modification that I made is that I spaced out the kind of crisscross X's more. So the pattern calls them to be close like they are on the body, but I put, I think, twice as many stockinette rows in between because it goes faster that way. So yeah, another finished sweater that fits and I love it. So yeah, so one more FO and then we're on to a few whips and that's it. So I'm pretty sure I didn't show this last episode, at least finished. This was in the lost episode, but I finished my brownstone by Jared Flood, which you can see here, which has this really cool kind of almost shawl collar for the top, which I really like. I think it looks great. The short rows on there were actually not hard at all, which is nice. So not much to say about this. It will hopefully fit. It's a gift for my brother for Christmas, so I'm on track because it's done. So yeah, it's a fairly well-written pattern. I like the way that it's written. It's well done, but I don't like the construction being from the bottom up because I just don't like not being able to work the sleeves down. That's something that bothers me because it's hard for me to like kind of judge if a sleeve is the right length that way. So that's my only gripe about it. Everything else was great. I mean, it was very easy to follow. It works up in, I believe, worsted weight yarn, so it works up really fast. I think you could probably sit down and do this in about 3 to 5 days if you are on like a major time crunch. But yeah, very fast pattern, enjoyable to knit. I recommend it. So I'll let you know around Christmas time how he likes it. Hopefully it fits. I really hope so. But yeah, I used Cascade 220. I don't remember the colorway. I'll have to look that up and put it in the show notes. But yep, that just needs blocked, and then I can just kind of store it away until I need to wrap it for Christmas. Is it too early to wrap it now? It's probably too early to wrap it now. It'll get all creased, won't it? How do you guys keep your hand knits from getting creased? Or do you just fold them up and then when they do get creased, you just steam it out? I don't know. I'm not used to having hand knits that are garments that I can just keep and store like this. Alright, so I'm a little bit out of order because I'm going to do a quick acquisition before getting into whips. So this yarn is beautiful. Look at the colors. I mean, I love it. So I am working on another collaboration with Belinda from Featherfin Yarn, and that name might sound familiar because my Snowy Pine shawl, which is the one I'm wearing right now, I made with her yarn last spring. So this is the same yarn with the same gorgeous, gorgeous saturation, but just different colors. So, and this is going to be, as Danny would say, a brio duo. And I love it. It's going to be brioche just like this, but the shawl that I'm working on is actually my wedding shawl. So I better get a move on because we're only like 4 weeks away or something crazy like that. And it is going to be a rectangular shawl with a twist. And the twist is very easy, but I'm not going to show you or tell you what it is until I'm done. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. I think I only have 2 collaborations that I need to get started on right away. Yeah, I have 2 collaborations in my queue. I've been so busy that I haven't started them. So it's this one and then one with Allie from Explore Knits and Fibers. The reason I haven't started them is because I really want to get the couple projects I have finished so that I can start on those and fully devote my attention. When I get to be having about 6 or 7 ongoing projects, which are patterns, going on at the same time, I get too flustered. I get too bogged down. So I'm working on too many things at once and I can't finish them. So my goal is to just have Allie's project and Belinda's project, and then those are my only 2 patterns that I'm really going to be focusing on, and everything else will be done. And then I should be able to crank those out really fast. And there's a 3rd collaboration on the horizon. I'm not going to share who it's with just yet, but you'll find out in a couple weeks. But you've probably heard of the dyer. So I'm very excited about that. We have been going back and forth about colors for about, a month and a half, maybe 2 months. So it'll be exciting to get the yarn and share it with you and share the theme behind it. So I can share that soon. But in the meantime, I have a couple whips And I really just need to finish these whips this weekend while my fiance is out of town, and then I can be free next week to work on new patterns, which I am so excited for. I get kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say like I hit kind of a plateau when I've been doing the same patterns for like a month, and I get stuck doing them for a month because I take on too much. And because I take on too much, then I don't have time to finish all of them. So my new plan is to do less at once so that I can finish them faster and get to new patterns faster. So this is another sock, and this is the exact look of what the glimmer sock will look like. So it's kind of hard to see it with this yarn, but you can see the ribbing, and the ribbing goes all the way up 2x2 rib up here. So this yarn is Autumn and Indigo. It's her sock base, and it is the Satellite colorway, which I had been eyeing for a very long time, and a couple months ago I just decided to get it because I kept seeing it. So here's the second sock. Like I said, I already started it, and I'm on the heel flap, and I just need to work the gusset before I leave tonight for home church, and again, social knitting. I'll have halfway through the foot done by the end of tonight, if not more, which is so fun. I can't wait to have that one done, and then I just need to photograph these because this is going to be the pattern that comes out next week. All right. I believe I just have one more active whip. I have a third, but I've only put about 6 more rows on it, and you can't tell that there's any difference, so I'm not even going to show it to you. I'll show it to you when the panel is finished. And it's not a new pattern, it's a Christmas gift, so there's no huge rush to show it to you. There's a huge rush to get it finished. I have no idea how I'm going to show this to you guys. So the dyer who made this yarn has actually gone through a rebranding. So her new name is Lane and Lotus, and this is the colorway Eden. So here's a sleeve. I finished one of the sleeves, which is really awesome, and I love the way that it's made. It tapers, and then you work it straight with no decreases for a while, and then you decrease not a lot, but you decrease more than you were all the way around, so it gives it a little bit more of a, I don't know what you would call it, gives it a little bit more of like a pucker so that it just gives it a cool effect, is all I'll say. And then you do a few inches of ribbing, and that is your sleeve. So both of them are going to be the same. It's a long sleeve garment. I finished the body, which you can't really tell because I have picked up for the neckline on the front and the back. So it's all kind of jumbled up on here. I had finished the neckline last night, but I am doing a mitered V-neck. If you don't know what that means, it's basically where you have 1 or 2 stitches that you've had on hold at the bottom of a V-neck on like waist yarn or something. So when you go and you pick up the first side of your V-neck, and then you knit the 1 or 2 stitches that you've kept on hold, and then you pick up on the other side. So you essentially have a V-neck that has a 1 or 2 stitch flat at the bottom. And so what you do is you decrease on either side of those flat stitches, and it kind of, I don't know, you have like the stitch and it kind of just angles into it. Or maybe it angles the other way. I don't know. It'll make more sense when I have that done. But I could not find very much information on how to work a mitered V-neck. Like there's just very little information out there on it, and all the books that I have, I couldn't really find anything. So I was having trouble knowing whether to work those decreases on every row or every other row. So for the first go, I did it every other row, and it was too wide. I wanted it to be more of a real angled V, and it was just kind of like spread out like this. It didn't come to a point like it should have. So this time I am decreasing every single round, and it should give me more of that perfect point. But yeah, I'll have more to share on that next week. I should have the entire thing done, and then I'll write the pattern. So this and one other sweater that just needs sleeves. I have to finish knitting this weekend, and then you guys, I can start new patterns. I'm so excited. So yeah, I can show you more next week. It's very hard to show you when it's all on the needles like this, so I'm just not going to until next week. So thank you for watching. That is the end of all the knitting content. I am going to talk just a little bit about my life to give you an update if you care to stick around. If you don't, no worries, I'll see you next week. This past weekend was my bridal shower. Kind of can't believe that's already here. So I had the bridal shower with my friends and family this past weekend, and this upcoming weekend is my in-law shower. So my future mother-in-law is throwing one with her side of the family. I don't know a lot of people on that side very well, so it'll be nice to kind of be able to put names to, or put faces to names, I guess. And then, you know, I'll see him again in a few weeks for the wedding, because we're getting married in 4 weeks, I think. But yeah, my fiance has been on tour all week, and I have gotten so much work done. I miss him, I do, but I've also gotten so much work done that it has been really nice. I had been very stressed about that because I have not had time to work very much, and I have a lot of collaborations going on and just things that needed to be done, and it was stressing me out. So this week I haven't done a ton of wedding planning because he's not here to give input, so I've gotten so much work done. I work so many hours every day, just working as hard as I can to get everything finished by the end of this weekend. So that's why you've seen lots of progress in my knitting. But yeah, other than that, life has just been good. This next week, I think I will start moving my studio down to my new house. So the stage, the studio, the background, whatever you want to call it, might change a little bit. I might film podcasts down there from now on, or I might just film them here in a different location in the house. I haven't decided. But yeah, I am so excited to be finishing up all of my lingering whips and to start on fresh new patterns. That'll be really nice, and I really only have a few smaller details for the wedding to plan out. I mean, seating charts, and I have to find a gift for my mother-in-law. If you have any suggestions, I will happily take them. I don't really know what you typically get your mother-in-law for the wedding. It's like a thank you for raising a wonderful man kind of gift. But yeah, my future father-in-law texted us in like a big family group text last night, and he was like, so you guys want to go to Germany in the spring? I was like, hell yeah, of course I do. So he's starting to look into planning a new family vacation in the late spring, so like 6 months away. I'm so excited. I've been wanting to go to Germany for I don't know how long. So yeah, well, hopefully that will develop into something and we'll get to go. Anyway, I'm chatting too long. I hope you guys have a really great week filled with lots of knitting and fun times. I will hopefully see you next week. Thank you so much to all of you guys who have subscribed. We've passed 2,000 of you, which is insane. Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next week for a new podcast.